a lot of y'all don't know that buying a house is not just buying somewhere to live, a roof over your head. It's building equity.
Need no rest. Built for it, yeah, I'm built for it. 10 toes down, I don't quit, I'm built for it.
Welcome back, Built For It family. We have a special guest, man. We learning again today. Today, we're going to learn real estate, what to do, what not to do, how to buy a house if you're a beginner. You know, a lot of y'all coming up, even a lot of old people still want to buy a house. So we have a professional real estate agent here from Orlando named Keisha Rodriguez, and we want to welcome her to the platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
For sure. Thank you for coming on, teaching us. How you doing? How's your day today?
Doing great. I'm excited. This is kind of like the most exciting part of my day today. It's Monday. So, you know, it's usually meetings and a lot of paperwork, but this is kind of a fun intercession.
Right. Something different, you know? So first things first, we just want to know, like, for young people in 2025, what's the very first thing that they need to do to buy their first house? For somebody coming up, we're talking to a youngster, you know, they want to chase wealth. They heard about financial literacy and they know it starts with real estate. You need real estate. You need a portfolio in America, right? America's for sale. So what is the first step for them to do?
So I would suggest any first-time buyers, whether young or old, it doesn't matter. You always have to start with finances, of course. Know where you're at, like realistically. What's your budget? What's your debt? What's your income? How much money do you have saved up? Do you feel safe being paycheck to paycheck and having a mortgage? Do you think you would make it? Or are you one of those who you have to have 6 months of reserves before considering such a big financial responsibility? Either way, it's doable. Just know who you are. And if you decide to take that step, just be responsible with it. You know, it doesn't mean that if you don't have like 6 months of reserves that you can't purchase a house. Obviously, it's the smartest thing to do because you don't know what the future holds. However, I wouldn't recommend, you know, if I was in that position, I would still take that leap of faith and I'll figure it out. There's different ways to make ends meet, whether it's renting a room, whether it's having a family member, you know, chip in with you. There's other ways to figure it out. The most important thing I always recommend is, okay, renting or buying, right? You choose your hard. Everything's hard in life. You got to choose your battles. I would say always, if you qualify, always choose what's going to give you more flexibility and more power.
So first thing is first is to get your goals together, basically, right?
Yes, for sure. Get your goals together and don't be so hard on yourself either, but just be responsible whichever way you choose to go. You know, sometimes you have to take a risk in order to come up or start building. And in life, everything is a risk. So choose your risk, right? You're going to risk either renting for however long and your rent keeps going up. And then it's hard for you to get out of that rental because the money you do have is going into that rental. So now you don't have spare money to buy your house. So it's kind of like you choose your battle. I definitely would say, you know, budget, debt, income, savings, know what you're comfortable paying. Like if you have a bad month, at least how much you know you're going to make for sure. And if that's the case, then that should be the number you're looking into buying. So based on that monthly amount, you know, you get with your lender and they're going to give you, okay, for that monthly amount, this is how much you would be able to buy. So whether it's $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 home, as long as you know your monthly, you can kind of determine what price point you're going to be in.
Okay. So gather your monthlies. Now, what credit score should they realistically aim for? Like what's the credit score should be looking like?
Believe it or not, people can buy a house with a minimum of 580. Now, it's not recommended, right? For obvious reasons, you're going to have a higher interest rate. You're most likely going to have to pay mortgage insurance for the life loan. Most of people that have a super low credit score end up paying for the insurance for the whole term versus if you have a 620 minimum credit score for like a conventional, that's kind of like the conventional minimum, you still have more flexibility and you have more leverage to cancel out the PMI, which is a mortgage insurance, after you've built enough equity or you've paid down the loan enough versus you have the 580, you have a FHA, you kind of don't have a choice. Unless you refinance into a conventional loan whenever you are in the financial position to do so, that's the only way out of it, I would say.
Yeah.
And of course, always consult with a lender because I'm a realtor, but that's kind of like my knowledge. You could possibly get into it with a minimum as 580, or if you want better options, a better interest rate, a better monthly mortgage, and flexibility, try to have a 620 for a conventional
Okay.
option.
Lowest is 580, but basically you're gonna be paying more.
Fees because they look at you as a high risk. So they're gonna try to, protect themselves and you're gonna pay more. So they
So
kind of
Built for a Family, work on your credit, man. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Get out,
Yeah, try to
raise the
keep
credit
that
score.
credit clean.
Get that credit clean. You know what I mean? And so now there's something we've heard of called first time home buyer programs. And I've seen you post one before. It was like Tampa area or something like that. And it was like some cool houses for like 500 grand. And can you explain to us what's the first time home buyer program?
Yeah, so for first time home buyers, there's this thing called First Time Buyers Home Assistance Program, which is like a down payment assistance program, a closing assistance program. Basically, they try to help you ease the process of getting into a home. And sometimes it's borrowed money, but it's money you didn't have. So if you didn't borrow that money up front, you wouldn't be able to get into the house. Other times there's grants. Maybe it's a grant. It is kind of a blessing to be able to be a first time home buyer and get a grant. Now you don't have to pay it back. And it helps you get into a home ownership status, which gives you leverage and flexibility down the line. But there's, of course, requirements and eligibility that you have to meet to be able to get those programs.
Okay, so there's grants and then there's also programs, but you basically going to be borrowing that money. But still, that's better than not getting a house, right?
Yeah, anything's better than renting. I mean,
You're already paying the high if you're
they're
renting.
already paying. Regardless, you're already paying, right? So who are you going to pay? Are you going to pay yourself or are you going to pay someone else's bills and lifestyle? Obviously, it's case by case scenario. Each individual, again, has to analyze their own profile, their lifestyle, what their goals are. But for the most part, owning is always better than renting. You just automatically have leverage.
And briefly, you just said basically you're paying yourself if you buy a house and you're paying more. Can you just explain a little bit on that? Like, what does that mean, paying yourself when you buy a house?
When you take out that loan, you have to make payments, right? Compared to when you're renting, you're making payments to someone else. The difference is when you're making payments towards that loan, it's your loan. So this means you're paying for your own house, right? You're paying for your own belonging, own this already. So you're
Yeah.
kind of essentially building your own wealth because whatever you're paying is going towards you and not someone else. So basically, you're securing a future for yourself versus not having a future and not knowing where to go or where
It's
your
securing
money's.
that other man's future, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So like when you pay your loan, you're paying your house off. Eventually, it's yours fully. You paid it off versus you're paying rent. You don't got nothing after that.
And people, just briefly, we're not to get off topic, but people basically can get loans and stuff off of their house. Once you basically been paying off this house, that's money sitting. Like that's, 100K, 150K sitting over there. Like there's ways to access this money to invest it in your business, to make more money, basically, right? That's the whole goal.
Yes, they call it equity. And so there's two ways to build equity is basically, like I mentioned, you're paying your loan off. So you're putting that value right back into your pocket. Or the market value increases, which is a natural thing. Nobody has control over the market value, but it does benefit you to be a owner and have a market value increase because that automatically puts equity in your pocket because your home gained equity. So now you have the leverage of using that equity as collateral for any future plans that you have. There's different ways to use that equity.
Yeah.
Kind of get into another business venture, or if you want to pay something off, some car loans or something, you can use that equity in your house. Obviously, if you don't need to, don't do it. The more it builds, the better for you. But you have that leverage.
You have that leverage because if you're just paying rent for 15, 20 years, you don't have no option.
You can't borrow that.
You can't borrow nothing.
Gone.
You can't even borrow a cup of sugar from your neighbor the times we
Nah,
in.
barely. At least with the equity, yeah, it's kind of like your own little bank where like, oh, I could buy it's like a credit card, it's like a
Yeah.
real estate credit card. People take out credit cards and if they need to, they use it and they pay it back. So you're still essentially paying yourself.
Right. And we appreciate that knowledge. That's an important one, y'all. Equity, building equity. A lot of y'all don't know that buying a house is not just buying somewhere to live, a roof over your head. It's building equity. The market is going up, depending on where you live, and you're making money off of your property. You know what I'm saying? This is monopoly, people.
Yeah.
You feel me?
It's real
It's
life.
monopoly. So I want to ask you before we close out on how to buy a house in 2025, how much money should someone have saved before thinking about buying? We got a young couple, right? They just had a baby. You know what I mean? Young man, he working hard. He know he got to do the right thing, buy a house for this family because he want more kids. He wants to do the right thing. How much money should he have saved before he comes talk to you?
Most people should have a cushion, you just never know. Like, what if you lose your
Yeah.
job? Or what if you have like a life hardship where you got sick and now you have this big medical issue and now you can't work? So it's definitely super important to have cushion. I would say 20 to 30,000 is a good cushion. Obviously, that's a high savings, right? Like, it's really rare that someone just has that sitting around. But if you want to be super safe, that's the best way to go. If you just want to get into home ownership, be super responsible. You don't have to have that high of amount, but at least try to have 5 or 10,000. Something is better than nothing. And even if you have nothing, you have to know who you are, your lifestyle. If you're responsible, are you going to make ends meet? Are you going to be making more money in the near future? Because this all could help with getting you in the door. You don't know, the requirements in the next year or two that are going to be for homeownership. I mean, things do change. And in my opinion, things get harder over time. So, if you qualify today, that's a blessing. Make the move because you don't know tomorrow if you're going to qualify. What if there's a new requirement and now you have to wait another 2 or 3 years and you have to rent for another 2 or 3 years? So it's like, there's a lot of like thinking involved. The number, it varies depending on the price point. If you have a $300,000 house, I would say try to have like 6% of that price point. So $300,000 versus a $600,000, those are two big different savings that you need to have set aside. So based off that, I would say,
6%.
I would say like roughly, because it's like 3.5. So we're talking savings for closing and down payment. But you also have to think savings after closing, your cushion. That's called your cushion. Like, that's after the fact that you got this house. To purchase, I would say definitely you must have at least 6% of the sale price, just in case, because, with the closing costs and the down payment, it could add up. Now, after that, it's two different stories. All in all, to get your foot in the door to be a homeowner, I would say roughly 6% of the sale price. But if you want to be a responsible homeowner that has a cushion, add another 3 or 5% to that.
Okay, we appreciate those numbers. Now, everybody, go out there and save this money and do your math and stack your bands, man. Like, get in the stock market. However you got to raise the capital, man. It's possible. All right, so now we want to ask, we want to talk about what it takes to become a real estate agent. There could be young people out there that want to come up and they want to sell houses. Maybe because I always heard that becoming a real estate agent is a good entryway to just learning real estate, period. Like, to get the knowledge.
Yeah.
People start that way.
That's what I did, actually. I was actually a hairstylist for 6 years before I started navigating the real estate world. And I never thought I'd be a realtor. I never thought I would be in real estate. But obviously, as you get older, you get wiser. And so you're like, okay, what should I be doing? What should I be looking into? Because unfortunately for me, I didn't want to be a hairstylist forever. I don't think I'm cut out for it. My feet be hurting way too quickly. And then arms, and we use our whole body to style people. I knew that was
it's a 9 to 5. It's the 9 to 5 work. Like, you have to be
it's
there
almost like
to make your money.
it's almost like a 9 to 9.
Mm,
Like if you wanna make money, you have to put in the work, and it's your whole body that's putting in the work because you have to stand up,
yeah,
you have to use your arms, everything, like, to shampoo,
yeah.
like, your
It's
whole
a
body.
physical job.
So, I was like, "Okay," pandemic hit, I'm like, I can't work, most salons are shut down. And so I was like, what can I look into? And real estate came up. And I was like, okay, what's real estate? I started looking deeper because, my parents didn't finish school and they didn't really teach me anything. So I had to figure things out myself. And I never really knew what real estate was.
Yeah,
As dumb as that could possibly sound, like, real estate is everywhere we look. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was called
yeah,
real estate. I didn't know that you could be an owner, that you could be an investor, that you could be a realtor. So I looked into it and then I started taking the courses and stuff, and that's how I got into being a realtor for knowledge. I didn't know the
yeah.
benefits, the other benefits that could come with it. I just simply wanted to know, okay, how can I make money and build wealth?
Now, what advice would you give your younger self starting in real estate? Like, what mistakes did you make, and what would you tell yourself?
Okay, that's such a good question because there's so many things that I wish I did differently. Looking back in time, coming from what felt like a 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 as a hairdresser, because you have to physically put in that work. Although I was a individual contractor as well, like it was my own business per se, people came to me, right?
Mm,
People come into the salon. Your friends and family are your clients. It's more
yeah,
doable. Like people need this on a day-to-day basis. They don't know how to cut their own hair. They don't know how to dye their own hair. They don't know how to style it. So they come to us. When I got into real estate and I was a realtor, I didn't know how to have lead generation. I didn't know how to find a qualified buyer. It's not as easy.
mm,
Not a lot of people have 20, $30,000 in their bank account to go buy a house. Not a lot of people have good credit. It was just such a drastic change for me that I struggled a
mm,
lot the first, I would say, 6 months to the first year. I did struggle a lot. It's not so friendly, I would say. I feel like we're all trying to service, qualified buyers. So essentially there's a smaller pool
yeah,
than most jobs.
yeah,
To find a qualified buyers that are motivated and are wanting to buy right now is hard to find.
yeah. I can imagine because ain't nobody really on their shit. Like,
Nah, and then you have everybody's a realtor now. So that's good or bad. It don't matter, right? Like it's not a bad thing. I wouldn't say it just makes it less easier, I guess. Like it's not as easy because there's so many of us.
yeah,
At any moment, your client could run into another realtor and then you can lose that client. There's a lot of competition. I would say not everybody puts everybody on. I thought
yeah,
coming from a hair salon, I thought people were gonna help me. The same way we help
yeah,
each other do formulating colors and maybe you should cut like this, or hey, this, like it just was a different world. And nobody was really telling me how to find a qualified buyer. Nobody was telling me what I should be doing. So
yeah,
automatically I felt like failure because I'm like, oh my gosh, I did all of this and I haven't gotten paid in a month, 6 months, like a year almost. And I'm like, I'm
yeah,
not doing this. I didn't know there was fix and flipping. I didn't know there was wholesaling. I didn't know
yeah,
I could do referral fees. If it's like out of state or out of my area, I could contact a different agent in that specific area that the client wants to be in. And we could have a referral fee and I still get paid some, a portion of what the check.
yeah,
There's rental fees. If I knew better, I would get into
yeah,
rentals first just to get my feet wet, just to start building clientele or reputation of like, "Oh, okay, she's a realtor. So whenever I'm ready to stop renting, I'm gonna contact her." That's a
And what do you mean by you would have gotten to rentals first?
Yeah, so as an agent, you can still help people find like a house to rent or an apartment. As a real estate agent, we have what's called the multiple listing services website, and investors and homeowners that end up renting their houses. use real estate agents because these are independent owners. It's not like complexes or communities. So they still
Yeah.
need to find renters and tenants. And as a realtor, I have access to those private owners, investors that have their properties for rental. And I could have got a referral fee and $200, $300 if the client, signed up for the lease. But 80% of people rent before buying. So
Yeah.
I still would have some sort of, income coming in
Income.
had I started there versus nothing at all,
Yeah.
which I didn't know.
So basically, as a real estate agent, you have access to what's called a MLS. And it's basically you have a list of all the investors, all the private owners, and all these people in the real estate business. And you can basically middleman yourself
We're
into a lot of
kind of
deals.
like the middle person. Sorry, my dog is like being loud with his little bell. We don't necessarily have a list of names or phone numbers from the direct people, but it's a database, a website where we can see what's on the market. So the same way Zillow kind of works, where like you go into Zillow and you see what houses are available, we can also go on Zillow or what we normally use our MLS to see what's available on the market. But our website has options that Zillow don't. So our website is more independent owners,
Yeah.
investors that rent their properties. Their personal information is not there, but their property's listed. So now I know,
Yeah.
okay, this is available. The lady next door is looking to find a realtor to go rent something, a house. And then, it was just like something I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah. There's just way more ways to make money than just basically showing people a house and selling it to them.
Right.
There's a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's not just
Yeah.
sell and buy. Like, obviously, the
Yeah.
biggest source here is rentals. Like, everybody rents first before buying. So I kind of, missed that. That was like something I wish I knew for sure. Cause it could have been like a little bit of it'll hold you down. Like, you got bills to pay. You still
Yeah.
have things to buy and your living expenses, and $200, $300 can add up.
So that's great. We appreciate that knowledge. Like the young real estate agent trying to come up, realtor, there's more ways to make money than just buy and sell. Do your research, you know what I mean? It's not just
Hmm.
and that's the thing about a lot of industries is what I notice, even with stocks and everything. There's way more ways to make money than we think and than we know. We just will not pick up that book and figure it out. Like you just have to do this, y'all.
Yeah.
You feel me? And look, like that's what we have to do to get the knowledge. Feel me?
Yeah. I
Um,
would say one more thing. There's also, depending on the brokerage that the agent signs up with, you could do showings for other realtors, right? We're one person
mm,
too, so although we can work from anywhere, when it comes to being face to face with the client, we can't go
yeah.
show our other client a house. And when we're in that tough position of like, okay, I'm only one person, I can't be at a closing and go show this house. Well, my client has to go see this house before it goes pending, which is that means under contract with somebody else. I'm going to hire another agent, whether in my own team, in my own brokerage, or if I know of someone that's willing from an app. I think there's an app now. I forgot the name of it, but it could be as long
Mhm.
as you're a licensed realtor and you have access to everything the same way I do, or you as an individual realtor, you can pay someone to do the showing for you as long as they're licensed
Yeah.
and vice versa. Like if you're looking for ways to make money and you don't have clients for buying, selling, or rental, offer yourself to busy agents like, hey, do you need me to do a showing for you? Do you need me to do an open house for you? Because they sometimes pay.
One thing I want to make sure I ask you before I let you go is how much does a realtor make off of one house? Let's say you sold a house for 500,000, like, or $1 million. Let's say $1 million.
Okay.
Sold a house for $1 million.
Unfortunately, I know this is like not what we want to hear, but everything depends, right? It varies. Everything varies. Again, price point was it your own lead or was it a lead that was given to you? If someone gave you that lead, they're going to expect to get paid just as much as you're expecting to get paid once you close it. So when you get leads from someone or a program or Zillow or your broker, they need to get paid out too. So this means
Okay.
although it was a $500,000 house, if you got to split it 3 ways, you're only making X amount versus this is my client, this is my personal client. They came directly from me and to
Yeah.
me. There's no ties, there's no splits. It's on my money. That's how you make real money in real estate. Because now instead
Okay.
of one third of the check, you get 90%, 80%, 75%, depending on your brokerage split. Every brokerage has a different split. So, when you go
Okay.
shopping around to see what brokerage you want to sign up with, it's important to look at what are their fees? How much are they charging you to represent you? To have you under their umbrella because, if they're charging you 50/50, then everything you close is 50/50. If they're charging
Yeah.
you 25%, everything you close is 25% on top of who gave you that lead. So you got to split the broker, their fee for you having your license hung with them on top of, okay, if someone gave you the lead, even if they're my brokerage, you got to split it with them too. So
Okay.
the less splits, the more money you make. So basically,
So
get your own clients. And
yeah,
it
if you
and
have your own client,
yeah, if you have your own clients, because even if it's a $300,000 house, if you're not splitting it with nobody, you could be making more than an agent who sold a house for 500, but now has to split it 3 ways.
I see.
Mhm.
Everybody's basically teaming up to get these houses off and splitting it. And the more deals you're on, the more money you can make.
Yeah, there was a $600,000 house I closed, but it wasn't my personal lead. So it was an $18,000 check. I only got, I think it was like 6,000. So from $18,000 that I could have had because it wasn't my
Yeah.
lead, I only got 6 versus
Mm,
I'm doing that same deal, 600,000 is my client. I made $18,000. You take out the brokerage fee, but roughly
yeah.
16,000, 15,000,
Yeah.
a whole lot more for the same amount of work, for the same price point, and you get paid more. So it's all case by
Get your own
case.
clients.
Get your own clients. That's the best way to go, and you make the most
Okay.
money. You could do less work and make the same amount of money or more than someone who's going 10 times harder because they're doing extra work, but they're splitting everything. Versus
Mm,
you're doing less work and you're getting paid more because it's your client.
mm.
It's
That's where
that
it seems
deep.
like a
It's that deep.
Yeah, it's deep. That sounds like the better real estate agent, like a quality real estate agent that knows how to show the house, knows how to find the right clients. Like it comes down to quality. Sounds like it.
Lead generation.
So
Mhm.
lead generation.
Mhm.
Okay.
Generating your own leads, yeah.
Okay. So before we let you go, we just want to ask you, what's your vision of financial freedom through real estate? Like just the vision of it, like you know what I mean? The ideal vision of it. You know what I mean?
Okay. It depends on the person. For me personally, I would love to create passive income by becoming an investor myself and having that passive, payment of like my rent. It could be different. Like if someone decides they could build a team, now they're getting a split from every team because they're providing leads. You could be a broker. If you get into construction, there's a lot of ways to make big money and then eventually it's going to run itself so that you get passive income. For me right now, I just want to get into investing so that I start building my own equity in my multiple properties on top of possibly renting them out and getting that rent as well, or a portion of that rent, because obviously you still got to make a mortgage payment even if you're renting a home. So you have to kind of do the math to see how much you're going to get. But I would say you could always charge for your knowledge. Like, the more knowledgeable we become is a tool and you
Yeah.
is an asset. So now you can charge for assets. And if I'm sharing very high value information that takes years to find out, you could build a course, a ebook,
Yeah.
mentoring. You can do training like 101. And that could
Yeah.
also be passive income because if you find a way to record yourself doing it once or twice, now you're sending what you already have like mastered. You have recorded everything. You can send it to someone.
Turn it into digital products, like think outside the box,
That's the,
follow
that's
other
the fastest and best way, digital. Anything you have
digital, huh?
digital, social
Period.
media,
Yeah. And
monetizing content, master something, and then you'll make money off of it. but
Yeah.
you have to definitely consider going digital with everything because it opens up so many doors and so many more passive ways of making income. Even if you're not a master, right? Even just having more knowledge than most, you're already
Yeah.
ahead and you're already at leverage.
Yeah.
So I would say if you're going to master anything, it's public speaking so that you have credibility based off how you speak. Because if you have the knowledge, that's good. But even if you have experience and you did master something, if you don't know how to communicate it, you probably won't make as much money. People
Yeah.
have to believe in what you're saying. So public speaking is very important. Tonality, expression, and knowing how to explain something so that you can convert it.
Right. And there's a lot of public speaking and being a realtor. You're showing houses to families. These people are making a huge, huge decision in their life,
Yeah.
and they're counting on you to,
Yeah.
have the knowledge and to know what's going on. So we appreciate you, Casey Rodriguez, for sharing your knowledge and your expertise. And, we love to see women growing and becoming entrepreneurs and become businesswomen. And there's so much BS out here already. Like, I just don't want to highlight that no more. Like, it's enough of it. Everybody who's a businesswoman or businessman, it don't have to be man or woman. Like, come to Built For It TV and tell your story and tell these youngsters and tell these people how to get out of the rat race of the 9 to 5, right? That's what we're here for, how to make money in entrepreneurship. We want to thank you one more time, Keisha, and we appreciate you. Hopefully we see you again on the platform to teach us again. And just have a great day. You know what I
God
mean?
bless you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Please share, like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want to find me, I go by Fabulous K, Fabulous_K on Instagram. I also go by got_real estate for my real estate page. Or if you follow, we probably can put the link on there too.
Yeah.
Share the knowledge we're providing you guys. This is why we're doing it. So you can learn, so you can make better decisions and be knowledgeable. And that's our goal, to provide that knowledge for you sooner rather than later. The sooner you get your foot in the door to building wealth, the better you'll be. So thank you for having me.
No problem. We really appreciate you. Drop in a comment how she did, and if you have any more questions for her, we can come back and make some more videos on your guys' questions, more specific or anything. But until then, y'all, we out.